Krunker's always had the problem of unfair advantages related to your PC, because the faster your computer was, the higher FPS you get, and the higher FPS you get, the faster that you're able to move. This latest big update is supposed to correct for that, so we're going to test it out and see if it does what it's supposed to do. And we're going to test it out on low-end hardware, my phone, and then the mid-range, which is my laptop with integrated graphics, and then my desktop, and then I'll give you guys some recommendations and review of what I think of this latest update. I made this video across several different patches, and the latest patch made it so that jump height is also no longer tied to FPS. It didn't change my findings too much, but I'll explain in each section how the jump change affects each level of hardware. Overall, it basically just makes the feature work better than it did before, and we can expect that the devs are going to continue to improve this feature going forward. The way it works is that there's a new option called non-FPS sliding. So in theory, if you have that option on, it should simulate playing at a much higher frame rate. So the slides should be longer. You should be able to build acceleration quicker. And it kind of equalizes the playing field. Starting with mobile, let's see how this non-FPS based movement update is. Remove my screen recorder. And I am using a custom layout, and you can try it in philzGoodMan, but not easy to customize at the moment. Just slide hopping around, it does feel better so far. Feels like you can kind of move around corners a bit more. Not like insanely dramatic of a change, but I might just have to get used to it, because I felt like slide control had already accomplished a lot of this. Try turning around, doing some like 180s. And currently you can't run backwards. Because that was at least temporarily removed from the game. Okay, not bad. If you think about it, equalizing like the movement across the board, pretty good lead-in for establishing a larger mobile player base. Feels a lot more like snappy when it actually is performing well compared to COD Mobile or PUBG Mobile. Like, it feels like there's like not very much input lag, which is really nice. So what's my review for mobile? I think it does work, but I'm definitely going to need more time with it, because the timing does seem a little bit different compared to the slide control update. But that being said, it does feel a lot different than slide control, and I feel like I'm able to change direction a lot more easily. But the problem is that I'm just not that good at slide hopping on mobile compared to when I'm playing on a mouse and keyboard. And in particular, being able to shoot while slide hopping and aiming down sights at the same time is something that I'm going to be needing to practice more. In regards to version 2.8.7, I actually did notice big improvements for mobile. I think like not only the jump height thing, but just like the game's optimization in general. Like 2.8.7 feels really solid. And like previously it was pretty hard to slide hop as Triggerman, so that's why I was playing a lot of SMG. But after the jump height change on mobile, I definitely find slide hopping a lot easier. So yeah, you can see I'm able to get pretty good amount of speed. Now I'll test out the non-FPS based movement on a laptop. So this is an Asus ZenBook. It's got integrated graphics, so no discrete GPU, Core i5 processor. In the past, I didn't get very stable frame rates with it, especially when I'm recording. And right now I am recording on the laptop in Streamlabs, so so far it does feel a lot better, except for those frame drops, the skips right there. Yeah, this is a lot better, because I don't have to lower everything down to like 0.3 resolution, but I should lower it anyway because I'm recording. What's my review of this update on my laptop? It was okay, it was not bad, but in some ways I felt like the phone had better performance than the laptop. But that could be more an issue with my laptop than the game itself. I definitely felt like I had a lot more control over the slide hopping, but then I realized that there's kind of a double-edged sword going on here, where you're able to move around a lot faster and more fluidly, but your PC can't handle those speeds in the game, because I was getting a ton of frame drops. So I think that it's very clear to me that the hardware advantage still exists in this game, and of course other games obviously, because things like input lag is dependent on how much frame rates you're getting. But even just like stable frame rates, I think is really important. Of course, there's no way to give everyone the exact same hardware. So I think the bigger question is up to like a certain level, like a GTX 1050 and above, is the game more or less equalized? I did try out a few games after the jump height update on the laptop as well, and I wasn't recording and I was getting a lot better frame rates, and it felt a lot closer to how it should be in terms of the optimization and consistency. So it's very promising. Next up, we got desktop. And of course, desktop represents a wide range of hardware. So I'm going to start with a frame cap of 120 FPS to kind of simulate that in-between range. And then I'll show you unlimited or really high frame cap, like 700 or 800 FPS frame cap. So starting with the 120 FPS frame cap example, I think it definitely benefits this type of player the most. And it's even better after the jump height update. Basically at this level, there's more benefits and less trade-offs. And if you're at the really high end of the frame rate spectrum, I'll get into that in a bit, but at 120 FPS, you're getting the added benefit of being able to move a lot faster, but you don't have to make sacrifices like inflating your FPS by lowering resolution and doing things like that. So now let's talk about the ultra high frame rate example. So if you're on 500 to 1000 FPS, and this is where it gets trickier because I can't fully recommend yet if you should use this setting or not. We might not have the option in the future, but at least for now, we could go back to the way slide hopping was previously, and there are some benefits to that. Slide control is no longer in the game. If you want to have more discrete control over the length of your slide hop, then you could do that via the frame cap. So that is still a benefit, and also input lag, I feel like is noticeably shorter when you're playing with the old method. The plus side to using the new method, where it is not tied to FPS, is that you can set a lower frame cap and get a lot more stable, a lot more consistent frame rates. And I did also notice a lot less frame drops regardless of what you set your frame cap to. So if you want the most stable performance with relatively low input lag, you could play with high frame cap and have non-movement based FPS setting turned on. Now I'm going to be going over some conclusions and general recommendations. Starting with mobile, so after the jump height update, it did improve things a lot. So it's definitely good to have the setting on, of course, and it has made a big difference. The thing with mobile is that there are bigger issues like being able to customize the UI easily. I can do it, but the method isn't easy. Second is just mobile optimizations and consistency patch to patch. So start of this testing, my mobile performance was not that good, and then afterwards, not only was the jump height thing added, but all of a sudden the game started running super smooth on my phone. So I think consistency and being able to customize the UI are going to be the key for movement to actually matter on mobile. And I think that, we can expect both those things coming soon, so just stay tuned. For low to mid-range devices, my conclusion is that this update is really good. Let's say you're on a Chromebook and you're frame capped at 60 FPS, cannot turn unlimited FPS on anyways. It does help to reduce this disadvantage that they previously had. The other thing is that not all Chromebook devices are underpowered. Some of them are quite powerful, but they have a frame cap that cannot be passed. Moving on to the mid-range desktop. So this is the player that's going to see the most benefit because maybe they're really technical, have good slide hopping abilities, but just didn't have the hardware, maybe that was holding them back. Lastly, for anyone who has a really powerful PC, I think that the decision is not so obvious whether to use this setting or not. You just have to measure the trade-offs for yourself. If you want really stable frame rates, stable performance overall, then you want to keep the setting turned on, the non-FPS based movement turned on. And if you want minimal input lag and a little bit more granular level of control over slide hopping distance, then you turn the setting off and make it the way it was before. But you might not have a choice in the future. Regardless, I think that it's a really good direction for the game because it always felt like Krunker wasn't quite a complete game because of the disparities between frame rates. Certainly, I don't mind having unfair hardware advantages. I mean, I could get rid of my fiber internet if I wanted to even the playing field. I just felt like it's kind of wasteful to crank up the frame rate so high for a game like Krunker when it's not really needed. It's kind of like people using GPUs to mine Bitcoin, just a lot of energy. But anyways, thanks so much for making it this far in the video. Please subscribe and I'll see you guys next time.